Again, welcome to Research Methods in Computers and Society. That is CS312 class. Again, these lectures will cover chapter 2 of the course textbook. Again, this lecture will cover chapter 2 of the course textbook, which is our week 2 lectures. So our topic here is formulating a research question. Again, in unit 1 or chapter 1, we discuss about what is a research, different types of research, the purpose of doing research, etc. Now, one of the main steps or one of the first steps in researching is again formulating your question. And I would say that is one of the hardest stage in research process. So first, we saw that we need to have interest on something. When you are doing research, it's better to do a research in a topic that you are interested about. And from there, we may have our objective. And from the objective, we may formulate a question, a research question. Possible the HO and HA, which is the null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. So in these lectures, we are going to learn how to choose a research topic. Also, we're going to discuss how to operationalize research constructs. Research construct again means the research topics. Also describe the different types of variables and formulate various types of hypotheses. So we can see these two items take us back to, again, statistics. In statistics, we discuss about at least two types of variables, which is the independent variable and also the dependent variable. In these lectures, we're also going to discuss about a variable called the confounding variable. Again, confounding variable, which sometimes we use the term lock variable. Also, formulating various types of hypotheses. In statistics, we learn there are two types of hypotheses. That is the null hypothesis, which is the HO, and also the alternative hypothesis, which is HA. We're going to discuss about the difference between the two. Then the last is to create a visualization of a research question. A visualization of research question. So here we start with, how do we create a research question? How do we create a research question? First, of course, we need to pick a topic. Most important, again, we have to make sure the topic is something that is an interest for us. It's in our interest or our specialty. So first we pick a topic, then we try to narrow the topic. Then we may ask some questions. Then we pick a question, then we focus on that question. So these are 5 steps. So for example, I can pick a topic like, let's say, education system in US. I may narrow this topic by trying to come up what type of education US, higher education, elementary education, technical education, etc. So I may narrow it to higher education in US. Then I may ask a question now, any question pertaining to higher education in US. For example, how effective higher education system is in US comparing to other advanced countries such as maybe Canada, etc. And then from there, we have to pick a question now. So now my goal is I want to come up with a topic about higher education in US comparing to Canada. Now, what is the question I have here? So you pick a question, then we focus on that question. So choosing a research topic, here we say there are many ways to identify a research topic. First, we can ask ourselves, what is, always I try to mention, do a research in a topic that you will not feel bored or you may not like it. So first thing here, what interests you? What interests you? Also, what keeps my attention? What do I read or search for online? So again, there are many ways to identify a research topic. First, we have to come up what we are interested in, what will keep our attention, etc. Now, observe your own behavior for a day, and you will learn what again interests you. Most of the time in educational field, I will surely do a research in my field of studies, my major or my specialty that I really like doing. I'll always make sure I do my research on that field. So we have two types of research. One is fundamental research. The concept of a fundamental research is that it's the research that most PhD students does, because in PhD, our goal is we want to develop a new theory, or if it's a computer science, maybe a new algorithm or a new model that will make us learn something new about maybe nature or computer science, etc. So fundamental research is the concept of trying to learn something new or trying to generate a new ideas. Then we also have the applied research. Applied research means I'm trying to do a research to solve some problem, solving a problem. A very simple example would be in a medical field. In medicine, we have the applied doctorate degree, which is the MD. MD, if you're a medical doctor, your goal is finding ways to solve medical problems. Now, we also have a program for PhD in medicine. Most PhD in medicine work in the lab, in the research field. They normally don't interact with patients. The applied research, which is the MD degree, they normally work with patients trying to solve problems. But a PhD in medicine, you may end up working in a lab or a research company or a pharmaceutical company trying to generate again a new ways of solving problem or understanding the medical field. So first again, fundamental research, we say fundamental research looks at the world at large. Purpose is to generate new ideas or explain why or how the world works. And it involves, again, data collection from large groups, may not have immediate application to our day-to-day lives. So this is the big difference between a candidate who is doing PhD in medicine or is doing a medical degree. Also in computer science, we have those two types of degree. We have PhD in computer science, which the research will be focused on fundamental process. Then we have Doctor of Computer Science, DSc. That's normally based on, again, applied research. So we would normally say the Doctor of Computer Science is applied doctorate degree, whereas again, PhD in Computer Science is a research degree. So example here is that understanding theories of migration and why people move from one place to another. So for example, we may say, okay, there are a lot of migration from one location to another. We may give a simple answer, and apply research may give a very simple answer. The reason why there's so much migration from one country to another is two things: politics and economics. But with fundamental research, we can say, yes, politics and economics, but there can be also other reasons. So we have to do a research, try to find other reasons, including the politics, and again, and maybe it can be include a religion or some origin of some culture, etc. So that's the applied research. So applied research uncover information about a particular issue. So the purpose is to solve a specific societal problem. Also, it will explore why people behave in a specific way and suggest a solution. So these are prior research. So example, understanding why there's a growing number of children diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So in our prior research, we may have a research that is okay. In academia, in a school, let's compare children that follow a passive learning. Passive learning means the instructor is taking, or the teacher will be leading the class, explain the theory, and students will answer questions. Or let's go with active learning, whereby a student will learn by doing it. Then this is a prior research. I may have two groups, and we may put children in these two groups style of learning. And later we may find out, and we may measure them if which group have more children with, again, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So you can say our prior research, we are trying to solve a problem, or we try here, I'm trying to use a learning style to solve the problem. Is active learning or passive learning can solve this problem. So narrowing the research topic, we said the construct of interest. Again, we should ask ourselves what each word means to different people. So ask yourself what each word means to different people. Also, be as specific as possible about what you are going to study. Example is the population of interest. Also, ask yourself which population you are interested. So with these two items, the construct of interest and population of interest, again, we can narrow the research topic. For example, I mentioned about study education system in US. Now, I can narrow it down by saying high school students in US, which means I'm not going to be more general about all type of students, or maybe first graders students in US. So the population of interest, we have to choose it, and that can help us to narrow our research topic. Also, the construct of interest, that is the topic of interest. So you can ask yourself what each word means to different people. And also we have to be very specific as possible what we are trying to study. So this again may help us to, again, narrow our research question. So the next step is operationalization of the construct. So here we said before you operationalize your construct, you must first find out more about your topic in order to develop a well thought out and also a specific research question. Now we should look in the scientific literature to find a good sources showing similar studies of interest. Again, this is the main reason why almost every research, especially academia or scholarly research, we need to do, again, review of literature. We're going to have that topic in the future, discuss about review of literature. So if I'm going to do some research, surely I have to do some background searching in that very specific field. So I may review some literatures that is pertaining to my research topic. It don't have to be exact my research topic, but it can be, for example, I'm doing research about data mining, how data mining can be used in, let's say, an engineering field. Yeah, so I can review any literature about data mining, whether it's used in engineering field or in retail, medicine, etc. I can do a research on it. So these are some of the places that we can find, again, a topic, find out more about your topic. We have technology, entertainment, and design, National Public Radio. TED also is a very nice, we know TED is a lot of, again, talks, different topics where presenters give a presentation about their research interests. It's another place. Also public broadcasting services, New York Times, that can be. So this can be almost a sources from non-academia or not a scholarly review like journals, etc. Most of the time in academia, we can get a topic from maybe our professional journal publications, articles, or any database system that store articles related to our field of studies. So by doing literature review, sometimes that can even lead us to find a topic. A very simple example, you may get an article, an author writes about some studies, and at the end, he couldn't come to a fully conclusion, or he came to a conclusion and he said, so also can be studied on. So sometimes when you read that article, by the end of it, you can see the author can again propose a future studies that can generate from what he did, or maybe his recommendation for some future studies. But again, this section is looking at, again, non-scientific source. According to our textbook, we should look at non-scientific source first. Will inform the search in a scientific literature. So New York Times, again, is another very good place. The newspaper talks about almost any topic: technology, business, Wall Street, companies, etc. So that can be a good source. Also, we should look for the scientific literature. That is the most important. Obtain research articles that conduct studies on your topic of interest. Also, you can visit the library, examine library databases. Now we are in digital age. We can do our research from home. Almost every school have an online library system. So with online library system, again, we can do our research from home. We don't need to visit the library physically. Way back maybe 30 years ago, I'm doing my thesis or dissertation. I really have to go to the library. Sometimes you may go to the library, you can't even find the materials you are looking for. You have to give it to the librarian to order them for you. Sometimes you even wait up to 2 weeks to get a material that you want to examine, or maybe a journal or something. But today, again, most everything is online, very quick. So from conceptualization to operationalization, these are some few definitions. So what is a construct? We say a construct is general or abstract term that's easily and consistently understood by different people. So conceptualization will be the process by which you break down constructs into smaller pieces. Again, construct is more or less as topic. So conceptualization is breaking a large topic into smaller pieces. So the meaning of each is clear to everyone. Then every studies we may have variables. So variables will be something that measures specific features and aspects of our construct and can take different values. Example, I'm doing a research on the effect of lung cancer by cigarette smoking. So cigarette smoking can be a variable. Lung cancer can be a variable also. Or finding the relationship between total expenses, advertisement, let's say total advertisement expensive, and the company revenue, annual revenue. So this revenue and total expenses can be, again, a variable. So we may discuss about different types of variable. Example will be, okay, we want to say if cigarette causes lung cancer. We may have a confounding variable or something we call the modification effect or modify. For example, most people don't smoke cigarettes until they drink coffee or they take alcohol. And the more you smoke, the chance of getting lung cancer is high. So we can say that, okay, coffee is a modifier or modification effect, and it's increase. So that means if I take a coffee, I smoke a lot, and the chance of getting lung cancer goes up. Now, let's say we have some medicine that when you smoke cigarette finish, you take the medicine, it cleans your lungs for you. So we can say, okay, that medicine also is a modifier, but this time is going to decrease the outcome. So modification effect or modifier can be either speeding the outcome or reducing, lowering the outcome. Also, operationalization means turning construct into variables we can measure. We will discuss about this also. Also, when we are doing research, in general, we need to consider the ethics. The subject involved, their privacy have to be respected, and their health, their well-being, both mentally and physically, have to be respected. And anything we are going to do, we need to, again, have their consent. So formulating questions in a way that will not cause harm. So most research ethics, again, discuss about the harms of the subjects. So we need to be sensitive and also consider how participants will feel. If negative feelings are more, participants are likely because of topic, then inform them so we get their consent. Inform them that at the beginning of the study and remind them the study is voluntary. So they have to get their consent again. So now we move to types of variables. The first two common one is independent and dependent variable. So independent variable is a variable that normally, we also use the term input, and it's a variable that normally will cause the dependent variable. So for example, again, I'll go back to cigarette smoking and lung cancer. Lung cancer doesn't cause cigarette smoking. Actually, cigarette smoking rather causes the lung cancer. So in this case, cigarette smoking is our independent variable. Then the lung cancer will be our dependent variable. In statistics, also we use the term explanatory variable, which is independent variables or predicting variable. So independent variable again is explanatory or predicting variable that will predict the variation in the dependent variable, and is often constant. It's often constant. It's an input. We don't change it. But dependent variable will be the outcome or the surprise variable that is influenced by the independent variable. So getting lung cancer will depend on my input of cigarette smoking. Now, they're unique for each study and dependent on the formulation of the research question. So they're unique for each study and dependent on the formulation of the research questions. We have different types of variables. Again, we have what we call the control variables. So additional variable example would be the participant's age and marital status. In the lung cancer, also the same thing. We cannot say, okay, it's only cigarette smoking causes lung cancer. It can be different. It can be your genetic, the environment you grew up, your nutrition, physical activities. All these things can also contribute with the smoking, maybe to be more quicker to get lung cancer. Because again, we know some people smoke, but they don't have no lung cancer. They may live over 100 years, they never have a lung cancer. Somebody may smoke, within 40 years, he have a lung cancer. And once in a while, somebody may not even smoke at all, but he may develop a lung cancer in his lifetime. So there will be additional variables. This can be, most of the time, these are modifiers. So example here said, additional variable such as participants' age and marital status that we control for in our study that may influence the outcome. So control variables are variables that we can control that can have influence in the outcome. So identify control variables by asking yourself what might influence the relationship between independent and dependent variables. And that was the example I was giving about lung cancer cigarette, maybe genetics, nutrition, physical activity, maybe it can modify or have effect on the outcome. So we also have what we call the confounding variable. Confounding variable is a variable that we're always trying to eliminate in our research. A very simple example to understand will be, let's say in Florida, we know during the summertime, ice cream sales goes high, increase. Ice cream sales increase. Also during the summertime, shark attack also increases. A lot of sharks come to where people swim because of the warm water, and they sometimes bite or attack. Now, can we say that there's a relationship between shark attack and sales of ice cream? Yes, but there's another third variable that causes it, which is the weather. Shark attack doesn't cause me to go and buy ice cream, but rather the weather increase, the shark attack increase, the weather increase, ice cream sales also increase. So confounding variable will be a third variable that also can have effect on the outcome, but it's not the causer. So we can have an association. There's a relationship between shark attack and ice cream sales. It's kind of like association. They all increase at the same time. They all decrease at the same time. If weather goes down, both of them decrease. So there's an association there, but it's not a causer. Doesn't cause it. So by having shark attack doesn't cause the sales of ice cream to go up, just that they have a relationship. So confounding variable is the third variable that causes. So here we say confounding or intervening variables will influence the independent variable in a way that the result of the dependent variable becomes untrustworthy. So that's why we say again, the confounding variable is a variable that we always want to eliminate from our research. So example they gave here, relationship between socialization from people and Facebook use influenced by marital status. So we say, okay, we also have the disturbance and extraneous variables. So here we say variables which lock in the background and can disturb the findings of the dependent variable. The common characteristics of our participants can be mislead the findings of our study without our knowledge. And sometimes we are aware of them, and other times we are not. Also, we have the moderators. Moderators are the variable that can strengthen or weaken an established relationship between an independent and dependent variable. Another term we use is modification effect. So moderators are variable that, for example, if it increases, it can increase the outcome, or if it increases, it can decrease the outcome. So the example I was given is a coffee. Let's assume 90% of the population, or even 99% of the population, don't smoke cigarettes unless they are drinking coffee. And 1% smoke cigarettes without drinking coffee, but they don't smoke more than, let's say, 1 pack a day. But over 50% of the population that smoke, when they drinking coffee, they can smoke, let's say, 3 packs a day. So this means the coffee can be moderator, because we say the more smoke you smoke, the chance of getting lung cancer is high. So if coffee makes you smoke more, then that's a moderator. Let's see the example they gave you. They said the relationship between alcohol consumption, which is independent variable, and liver damage, independent variable, is stronger for women than men. Therefore, now if it's stronger for women than men, we have a moderator, and the moderator will be the gender. Because if I'm a woman, go high more. If I'm a man, low. So now this variable here for gender will be moderator or moderators. Same as the cigarette, coffee, lung cancer. I smoke only one cigarette a day, but when I drink coffee, I smoke 2 packs a day. So it strengthens the outcome. We also have a mediator, so yeah, intervening variables that can interfere with. Remember, intervening variables same as confounding variables that can interfere with relationship between the independent and dependent variable. If strong enough, they can change the relationship between the independent and also dependent variable. So example given here said, a relationship between the time a student studies and their grades exist. However, this relationship will change if the school director preps the student extensively during our studies. So that will be the mediator. It can change based on some practice. We say if strong enough, they can change the relationship between the independent and dependent variable. So here we are saying that the prep, if it's strong enough, it can change the time between student studies and their grade. So next we move to the hypothesis. Hypothesis is one of the common testing method in inferential statistics. Most research in computer science, sometimes we don't need a hypothesis. Sometimes we need it. Hypothesis means we have the null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. Now, the reason why I say most of the time in computer science research, we don't need a hypothesis because the null hypothesis is a claim that we have. Then the alternative hypothesis will go against the claim. So a very simple example in a real world, let's say we have a sample in 1970, and we did a study that the average male in US are not obese. Their weight is somewhere around 100 pounds. Let's say between the age of 20 to 30 years, male weight is 120 pounds. 1970s, we know that we did a study. Now we are in 2020. In 2020, we want to do the same studies to find out the average weight, if it has gone up or down. So my null hypothesis would be the average weight was 100 or 120 in 1970. What we know in 1970 is still what we know. So that would be my null hypothesis. Then my alternative hypothesis would be either is greater than or less than the 1970 value, which is 120 pounds. So this is the reason why I say mostly in computer science, we don't have a claim already that we want to do a research against to see if the claim should be accepted or rejected. So here we say hypothesis is a statement that will predict a specific phenomenon or behavior. Now, it makes a prediction about how people will respond to the research question. It may even determine how you expect the variable to behave. Now, we intend to study the relationship between television viewing and female self-esteem. So our studies here is we want to find if there's any relationship between television viewing and female self-esteem. So we may have hypothesis that television viewing is associated with female self-esteem. If the studies has been done before which prove that, then that's our null hypothesis. Or we may have a hypothesis saying that television viewing is associated with lower female self-esteem. Now we go in more detail. First, we say television viewing is associated with female self-esteem, but now we say it's associated with what? With female self-esteem can be high or low, we don't know. Now we are more specific, saying with lower female self-esteem. Now, the alternative hypothesis will state how the variables will look once we have collected our data. So it will predict the relationship between variables. Example would be what happens if one variable increases or decreases. Then the null hypothesis claims there is no relationship between our variables of interest. So in research, we are attempting to falsify the null hypothesis. That's to reject the null hypothesis. So alternative and null hypothesis notation, normally we use HO for null hypothesis, then HA for alternative hypothesis. So HO means there is no relationship between music listening and sports performance among college students. This is something we know maybe in the past studies. Now we want to do a study now to find out if it's the same claim. So we have HA should be what? Athletes who listen to music for 4 or more hours per day perform better than athletes who listen to music for 4 or less hours per day. Then we have the directional versus non-directional hypothesis. So a directional hypothesis predicts a specific cause for your variables. So example, the younger someone is, the more empathy he or she will have toward animals. So this is again a very direct. Then now a non-directional hypothesis simply predict the relationship between your variables. So example, perception of rape are different between boys and girls. So we can see directional, they are giving us specific. The younger someone is, the more empathy he or she will have towards animals. But with the non-directional, we don't know. So the perceptions of rape are different between boys and girls. Now, when we are setting our question, it's very important that we use an open-ended question. Don't have a research question whereby the answer will be yes or no, true or false. No, it won't be interesting. So you want open-ended question that you have to reason, or there's more than one solution. And this is what makes research again more interesting. So open-ended question that is exploratory in nature. So we can explore the question. The answer don't have to be true or false, multiple choice, no. That is driven by your curiosity about the topic. For example, how do people react in a chaotic situation? And also we need to visualize our research question. So we should put everything down on paper visually. So this example here, we use the symbol construct. We have a symbol for variables, show the direction or non-direction. And if you want to use the relationship, use the straight line. So these are just the symbols to use in our visualizing the research question. So this will be the conclusion of chapter 2 lectures. Again, chapter 2 lectures, we learned about how to formulate a research question. First, we went through what is the research questions, 2 ways of doing it, how do we process of picking it until we narrow it down. We should know what is a construct, and also narrow process is using the construct, that's the topic, and also selecting population interest. Can be younger, female, male, older people. And this will help us to narrow our research questions. So again, I wish everybody the best and see you in our next lectures. Thank you.